Hey everyone, my name is Saad Fazal. This is the sixth course of our MECM series. Today I'm planning to discuss the Apple in Business Manager, specifically like how to set it up and how to connect Apple Business Manager with Microsoft Intune. Initially, it wasn't a part of my series, but since I'm moving towards the enrollment methods in my upcoming video tutorials, so I wanted to make sure that you have all the behind the scenes stuff ready. And quite honestly, Apple Business Manager, if you are a Microsoft person, like most of your time you're spending dealing with the Microsoft technology, so you may come across some challenging situation to set it up because it is quite a difficult process to even sign up and convince Apple that you want it for your lab and testing purposes. Unless you are a proper org, then it should be okay with you. So let's dive in here. So there are these are the high level agenda that I'm gonna cover in this video. I'll try to make this video short because this is quite a massive topic, and I want to stick to the bullet points that are necessary for Intune only. I'm not gonna go into other areas in ABM account. Okay, so the prerequisites are, so we're gonna catch up on prerequisites, then supported volume, just gonna spend a few seconds here, not gonna go into each bullet. And then the enrollment method, enrollment for Apple Business Manager, not the device enrollment. We're not talking about Intune at all here. We're only talking about the ABM, but once we get to the point when the ABM is spun up and ready to go, then I'll go over how to connect the ABM with Microsoft Intune for iOS devices. So let's start with what is Apple Business Manager. So basically, Apple Business Manager is kind of like a centralized repository / portal provided by Apple, managed by Apple, where when you purchase devices, assets, and applications from a supported channel, then they all show up in one Apple shop. And they call it Apple Business Manager. They have another flavor of Apple Business Manager. They call it Apple School Manager that goes by ASM. Apple Business Manager got rebranded multiple times in past. For example, ADE, Apple Device Enrollment, goes by ADE as well, ABM, and some others names as well. So what do you need to sign up for Apple Business Manager, and why do you need that? So basically, when you purchase the assets directly from Apple, the assets show up in Apple Business Manager in a centralized repository, and then once you have any MDM in front of the ABM, then you can connect your Apple Business Manager with that MDM. It could be Microsoft Intune or any other MDM solution. So basically, MDM is kind of dependent on your ABM when you are dealing with the corporate owned devices. So it is important that when we talk about the Apple Business Manager, we are talking about the corporate owned devices. Okay, so I'm not gonna get into the enrollment methods and all that good stuff right now. I'll try to focus on ABM in this video and how to set it up. So just to share with you guys, when I was trying to sign up for ABM, it was quite a big challenge for me to convince Apple that I am doing for my lab purposes and development purposes. And then finally, but I was able to get through this hurdle, and now I have the ABM spun up. So there are prerequisites. So devices will only show up in Apple Manager if they are purchased from a supported channel, or you can add the devices either through partner or by using Apple Configurator. The Apple Configurator is available on Mac devices. That's kind of like a manual way to add your device in the ABM. So for example, in my lab, since I am an individual and I don't own a company, so there is no way I can connect the partner portal with my ABM. So there is no partner. In this type of scenario, that Apple Configurator is your lifesaver, and you can use Apple Configurator to directly upload the device in ABM. So one of those methods, either you take the route from the partner, and the partner should be able to upload or add devices on behalf of your organization. Another option is if you are using for lab purposes, test purposes, or any other scenario where the partner cannot add the devices, then you can use the Apple Configurator. But that's a manual and a tedious process. Not recommended for massive addition. For you to connect Apple Business Manager with Microsoft Intune, make sure the MDM Management Authority is set. That's something we have already discussed multiple times, but I will show you how to set it up. And the Apple MDM Push Certificate, if you haven't seen my video, it's not a part of this series, but that's a random video in my YouTube channel, how to set up the MDM Push Certificate with Apple. So that's another prerequisite. Okay, supported volume. So maximum enrollment profiles per token. So there is a concept of token. I'm gonna get into the detail how to set up the token with Microsoft Intune. They could have called something different as well, but since they use the word token, we'll all use the word token here. And maximum automated device enrollment devices. So basically maximum enrollment profiles per token, 1,000 profiles per token can be added there. So maximum automated device enrollments per profile, so 200,000 devices per token can be added. 200,000 devices can be added per token. So maximum automated device enrollment token per Intune account is like 2,000 devices. So these are just the numbers available on internet. You can just take a look, but it only requires when you have a massive number of Apple devices and you have to calculate the devices per profile. Just wanted to share with this. Enroll your organization. So this is the most challenging part and technically the very first step towards the ABM journey. So let me just quickly go over the prerequisites and I'm going to directly jump into the enrollment. So we already discussed the supported channel. I'm going to show you the MDM authority and the Apple Push certificate. So let's get things going here. 1 second. Okay. All right, so I am going to endpoint.microsoft.com. That's my landing page. And actually, let me show you the other way around. So let's go to the Azure Active Directory tenant. So that's my Azure Active Directory hooked up with my Intune tenant as well. When you click on Mobility, MDM and MEM, Microsoft Intune, you make sure that the MDM scope is set. Okay, so that's your MDM scope. And you can check the MDM scope here as well, the MDM authority. So you go in here under the tenant administration, and on the first section here, the tenant status, under the MDM authority, it's set as Microsoft Intune. Okay, that means that your Intune is the primary source of managing devices in your organization here as an MDM solution. Okay. So that's the prerequisite number 1, actually technically 2. And the third one is you have to have the Apple Push certificate set up ahead of time. So when you go in the devices, iOS and iPad here, and iOS, iPad enrollment, this is Apple Push certificate. I made a separate video on this, pretty easy to set up. You can see that all of my details listed here. It's kind of like a handshake. So you come here, click on Apple Push certificate, download your CSR, log into Apple portal, and it will ask for the CSR. You upload the CSR that was previously downloaded from this portal, and Apple will generate a certificate, and you come back here and upload the certificate in the step number 5 and enter your Apple ID and upload it. So it will actually enable this thing for you. It is very important to pay attention to these expiration dates. I couldn't find a way to get the notification or automatically renew these stuff. So I came across a situation where it was expired and my Apple devices stopped working and I didn't pay attention, and then I had to renew it. So important to put it in your calendar. That's the second prerequisite I wanted to share. Okay, and let's get into the enrollment. So let's say you do not have an ABM at all at the moment. Today is your first day towards the ABM journey. So the process is called ABM enrollment. It is very well documented on Apple's site, but I am not gonna go over to read in front of you line by line, but I'm just gonna show you how it works. So you have to have a manage Apple ID to sign up. So there is a link. I will paste the link in the chat as well. So what you need to do is the very first step here, business.apple.com/enrollment. Oh, this is Firefox does not support this one. So business.apple.com/enrollment. I'm gonna paste this link in my video as well. And you do that, you will land on this page. So you provide the authentic and legit organization name, DUNS number. To get the DUNS number itself is a big deal. That's an entirely separate process, and I'm not gonna go over in this video how to generate a DUNS number. But once you have a DUNS number, you enter all that kind of good information like organization name, DUNS number, phone number, website, and you enter the time, date, your details. But it is important to provide a correct verification contact here. Once you provide all that kind of good stuff, so the you will receive this email. Your enrollment is in review. Thank you for your request to enroll, blah, blah, blah. This process may take up to 5 business days. After enrollment is approved, your organization will need to accept the Apple Business Manager terms and conditions. So these are all circles you have to pass through one by one. So I just, for instance, I submitted and then it's under the review. And sometimes you have to call them for a follow-up to make sure how is your application going, and just to speed up the process. You can check the status by clicking here as well. Once they're convinced that you can have an Apple Business Manager, right? Then they will approve it, and they will say like your enrollment has been approved. That's a moment where you can feel a little happier that your ABM is approved. So once the ABM is approved, what you need to do is go to the ABM portal, and which is business.apple.com, and you enter the credentials here. They will provide the temporary credentials, and when you pass through the 2-factor authentication, okay, so this is the landing page. I'm just gonna go over these options real quick, and then we will get into the dirty work, which is under the preference. So subscription is nothing. If you have any subscription, they're gonna show up here. I'm not gonna click on that. Activity is something, if you have a new sign in or email you created, you can see all of your activities here. Be careful, because if you create a sign in with the password, sometimes the activity shows you the password as well in a plain text. So that's one thing to consider. If you are giving access to the people to use this portal, you make sure you limit their access. Location is super important. You have to have a proper location to use this tenant. Its location is nothing. It's just like an address of your org, right? If your headquarters are located in Seattle, or it must be a physical address of your location. So you can have multiple location as well. And the users, under the user section, Apple provide multiple roles. Okay, and I have, for example, I have 5 users, and some of them are administrators, some of them are just a staff member, right? So this is where you add the user. You can hit the add button here. You can type the first name. And if you have a managed Apple ID, you can type their name as well, right? So for example, like test user 01, right? But if you're federated, it will show your domain here as well. So you can have a federated domain as well. But since I'm using a managed Apple ID, it's kind of similar concept like when you use a Microsoft tenant, and if it's not federated and if it's managed, and if you don't have a domain verified, it shows like whatever your org name, for example, like XYZ business .onmicrosoft.com. So basically .onmicrosoft is replaced here by appleid.com. So that's called manage Apple ID. I haven't federated this tenant with my Azure Active Directory, but you have an option to do that. That's gonna give you some more flexibility in terms of the account management, because the account will flow through both the tenants, both the portals. Roles and location, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 roles, top to bottom, from most powerful to the less powerful. So administrator has pretty much all the powers to do any activity performing in this portal. People manager, and then device enrollment manager, content manager, and staff. So once you add the user, you choose the role, and it will automatically pick up the location. So one of those locations were my name here. Like, I shouldn't be saying my name in the location, but it picked up by itself. But you can have multiple locations. So since I have more locations, you can have another location, choose another like content manager roles, and like the location will show up here. Email address is important. You can add the email address so the user can accept the terms and conditions, and the rest of the information is completely optional. So once you have the account set up here, I'm not going to save it. It will list here, and then it will actually give you the temporary password, or you can create a temporary password for that user. Once you create the user, you will see that the user managed Apple ID here, iCloud storage, blah blah blah. You can reset the password, you can reset phone number, you have more options. You can deactivate the account as well, and when you can edit here are the details of the account. Active account, this is the role, at, and this is my location. This is role, at, and my location. If you have groups, it's similar concept just like Azure Active Directory. You can have a dynamic and a static group as well. Let's say if you have like so many admins to actually log into one ABM account, then you need a group as well, either by department or by whatever makes sense. User group, this user is not added to any user group, so it's showing none here, and this is the detail. So pretty simple, straightforward, not very complex. User group, I don't have any groups, but you can definitely create a group. So for example, like demo group in ABM, right? Either you can have a user individually. When you click on individually, it will you will search for the users, and you can just simply add the users here. And you can add the dynamic group query as well. So like a smart user group, it's not like a Azure Active Directory dynamic group query, but it's just like you can choose either role or location. So if you have multiple location, all of them. So for example, let's say I have a location, 2 locations listed. The one is my name. I'll just choose this location. It will pick up all 4 users. It's like picked up all 4 users because I have 4 users in this location. So if I go by the role, and if I, let's say, like pick staff, it will pick up 1 because only 1 member is a staff. If I choose like administrator, it will pick up 2 or 3. I don't know how many. 3 administrators I have. So it's pretty simple, just the 2 conditions here, and then the users will be added and you can utilize that group. Roles we already discussed, so administrator, people manager, device enrollment manager, content manager, and staff. So when you click on each role, you will see all the permissions and what roles can do. So for example, administrators are responsible for Apple Business Manager and your organization and for accepting Apple Business terms and conditions. Sometimes it is very important to accept terms and conditions because every now and then Apple introduces a new terms and condition. If you don't accept it for some period of time and you did not get a chance to log into ABM, technically your token will be paused and your Intune will not talk to ABM during that time. That kind of just not an ideal experience, but it is what it is. So every now and then you have to go and check if there are new terms and conditions. Generally, the way you accept terms and conditions, if the new terms and conditions are introduced by Apple, you log in, and as soon as you go on a landing page, everything will be grayed out. Technically, this portal will be completely disabled, and then there will be, all of a sudden, there will be a terms and condition will pop up, and you have no choice but to accept it. And when you accept it, that will start functioning. Devices. So I was explaining you there are 2 ways to add devices. When you add device, either through partner or by using Apple Configurator, the device will show up. You don't see any option here to add device, right? Like there's no plus button, right? So that's kind of explains like the device will automatically show up as long as the device is followed through one of the process. So in my case, for example, I don't have a partner associated with this tenant, and I use the Apple Configurator, so the device showed up here automatically. I use my Mac computer, installed the Apple Configurator, and went through the process. It's pretty simple, like 3 or 4 clicks. You have to create a network profile in Apple Configurator, and the device will apparently be hooked up to your ABM account. So my iPhone, one of my iPhone is inside my ABM. I'll create a separate video how to enroll the Apple devices through various methods. So this is one of my device added to the ABM portal. And if it was through different source, it will show you the source here. So it will tell you like a model number of the device, serial number. Don't pay attention to this thing like MDM Server, Microsoft Intune. I will show you and we will revisit this to give you a better idea what they're talking about. This is the order number and this is the part number. These information is generally for Apple. Whenever you are troubleshooting and you're talking to them, you can just provide them one of these options, so they will be able to find out for you. Assignment history is like a logging solution, just like in you can call it like a audit log, right? So if you go to one of those, it will tell you like when this device is assigned and when this device is unassigned. Apps and books is basically nothing but just connecting your ABM to the store, and you can purchase anything you want, either paid or free, depending on the payment method you have set up. So for example, like I have a bunch of applications already purchased from Apple, and those are like free application, but it will still show you like a dollar amount in $0.00. Just to keep it unified, if in case you are purchasing something by paying any dollars, it will show you the dollar here as well. So for example, let's say if I purchase one of my application to screen share, Air Server Connect. When you click on that, see location, how important the location is. I will show you how and where to set up the, oh, actually I showed you in here. So you have to set up location. So let me go back to the location and you can add another location here. So location name could be, let's say like my headquarters, right? My headquarter location. And then you can put any address you want. And then city, all the stuff, these are optional. Once you have those locations set up, then you can use those locations. So locations are required to perform certain activities. So in my case, let's say I'm purchasing this Air Server Connect app, so I'm gonna use one of my location, which is Saad, and I'm gonna say like quantity would be, let's say like 5, right? And then get. Okay, so if I go in here, I hit refresh, so I have these applications. So this is the total number of application, right? And when you click on this application, one of, for example, like Twitter, I purchased like 1005 applications. In use 0 because I haven't deployed anything. So for example, this one I purchased 50 and I used 1, so 49 left. So similarly for 5 available, so this place might be helpful in terms of the reporting purposes as well, like how much you purchase and how much is left. It's just like a Windows business store, like you purchase, or like a Google Play Store. Manage Google Play Store basically. So available in use 0. So that's just the applications, like you can call it store apps, but Apple does offer you to upload your custom application as well. So there is a way you can go to Apple Connect and upload the application. You have to have a developer thing to enable. I haven't done it, so I would just ignore this option here for now. And it is important to have applications managed within the ABM so you can deploy these applications, because what is synced with Intune is token information. All the applications and the books and the custom apps are also synced with Intune, because when you are dealing with the ABM devices, it is recommended and supported to have the application that those are directly coming from the ABM tenant. So when you go to the Intune, you will be able to see that the Air Server will show up as an Apple app. I will show you. Devices. Devices is another thing that is going to sync with Microsoft Intune. Manage user will never sync to Intune. As long as the user is federated, then those users will sync. For example, I have this user with the manage Apple ID, like appleid.com, like .appleid.com. You will not be able to see this user on my Azure Active Directory tenant. So those are the options on the landing page. Now let's get to, so we haven't done anything with Intune. That's just like a day one when you have the Apple Business Manager set up and you have all this information available to do the basic start, right? So all the configuration are hidden under your name here. So for example, this is my account and I am the administrator on this account. When you click on the section here, and there are preferences. So when you click on preferences, these are all the information, important information. So for example, my profile, my name, my ID, my phone number. Enrollment information will tell you like your organization number and the time zone, etc. Tax information, and if you want to enable or disable custom apps. Payment and billing. So I don't have any payment information set up with this account, but you can add this store or credit card information, and you can see the purchase history. So there is another place what you have purchased, so you can download the purchase history as well. All of your application will show up here. So this is how much application I have purchased so far. All the accounts. So for example, like only verified domain can be used to create the manage Apple ID. So when you spin up the Apple Business Manager, the manage account comes with the appleid.com, like .appleid.com will be automatically verified because Apple does the verification before they give you access to their ABM tenant. So this is gonna show green. So I just paid attention that my other domain, which is azurelabacademy.com, is not verified. So let's try to verify this thing. That's one of the things you want to do that. So edit, when you click on edit, you click on this text record. So if they will generate a text record for you, you can either copy it and you have to go to the site which that is hosting your domain. So I think it's been a while. I think I'm hosting on Azure DNS. So let me see if I can. DNS zones. Yes, so I'm managing my domain from Azure DNS. So when I click on this, and let's say if I set the record, and the record type is the text record, and let me see, what was that? This text record, and the value is here. I put the value, and I can put like add symbol here. No, not add. I will give it a name like Apple ABM, for example. It's just a record name. I'll just call it ABM. Okay. And when I hit OK, the record is created. Record is created. So when I go back to the Apple Business Manager and when I hit check, it may take some time. And let me check one last email. I got an email from them as well, so let me log in. Okay, so basically it's the same thing. Let me check now. I think it's gonna take some time anyway. So 14 days to verify ownership, prove your ownership. Okay, so when you click on this, verify domain, 14 calendar days. Okay, Apple Business sign in, domains, text record. Click copy. Microsoft Azure also, they have a good documentation here. So nice. Okay, perfect. So text name, add value, show all domains. Okay, so anyway, I added the TXT record on my Azure, and I think it's going to take some time. So let me continue this video, and if it happens during the video, I will revisit and will show you if it's approved. If it's not, then I'll wait. So that's where you actually add your domains that you're planning to federate or just to have a proper domain here. Once you add a domain, you can start the federation. So the way you do the federation, there is a link. I'm not gonna get into the federation thing right now. Okay, directory sync is actually the federation where you to set a federation of federated authentication using Microsoft Azure Active Directory before you configure Microsoft Azure AD Sync. MDM Server Management. MDM Server Management is the one we are more focused on. Basically, that means that you're telling ABM that you have the MDM server and you want your ABM to connect it to. So when you hit add MDM, so you give it a name here, and basically you have to create a token first. 1 second. So your MDM server, let me check 1 second. Yeah, so the way you add the MDM server is, see, that's why I was emphasizing on the location, that why location is important. So when you have the location set up, and when you go under, let me show you location, and second, it's under preferences, and under preferences the payment and billing. And what you can do is when you click on the location, so like this one, right, so it will give you the token, and this token so what it says, like, upload your tokens in your MDM server to start assigning your content to your devices. So basically every location comes with the token. So when you generate a new location, it will come with the token, right? So the next step would be, so since you have the token generated by Apple, so you go to the endpoint. In my case, Microsoft Intune is my MDM solution. So I'll go in the Apple section here, iOS enrollment section here, and this is the place you want to set up. So enrollment program tokens. So basically enrollment program tokens, what they're gonna do, you hit when you have the token, you hit add, agree, download the public key certificate required to create a token. So you click on download your public key here. So it's gonna download the public key, and you basically, what you have to do is create a token by Apple Business Manager. So when you click on that, it will take you to the Apple Business Manager, right? And in the Apple Business Manager, so let me explain. Let me start over 1 second. Okay, so first thing first, if you wanted to connect with the Apple Business Manager, so you go in the Microsoft Intune. Once you have the proper location set up in ABM, so you go in the Apple Business, under the devices section here, iOS enrollment program token, create add, download your public key. So the public key in my case is Intune key 0504, I think is with the date today. Once you downloaded the public key from Intune, now you have to do the handshake. So now you go to the Apple Business Manager. Okay, under preferences, under MDM server management, and you click on add MDM server. Add MDM server, you choose like, for example, let's say Microsoft Intune MDM. Okay, and you give it a file which you downloaded just .perm, right? And you open this file and you save it, and it will, let me save. Somehow it's stuck, so I have to wait. Okay, not sure what happened, but my server is back up now. So I added that, and so I downloaded the public token from my Intune site, download the public key, and it asked me that, okay, you have the key, now go log into the Apple Business Manager. So I went to the Apple Business Manager, preferences, and under preferences, MDM server assignment, or MDM server. So if I go back in here, preference, MDM server assignment, and I click on add server, give it a name, and chose that public key. It's like upload public key here, right? And when I hit save, my MDM server is added here. So it's a duplicate MDM server. I'm going to delete it. And now the next step is to download token. So download, it's kind of like a handshake. You take something from Intune and give something to Intune. So now you have the file downloaded. It's called Microsoft Intune, whatever the file name is. And then you go in here, you provide the Apple ID here. So for example, like this one, and then you provide that Intune token, right? And when you provide the Intune token, you hit next, and there is nothing much to be done. And then scope tags and the review and create. When you click on next, make sure you provide the right Apple ID here, the one which is signed up with the ABM account, right? So once this handshake happened, then it will show you the active here. It is important to pay attention about the expression of this token because it has an expression, and every now and then you have to come. This is just FYI, this is a separate token than what we discussed in the beginning of video, which was the Apple token. One second. iOS enrollment, Apple push certificates. Apple push certificates is entirely different setup and token, but kind of same concept, and it has expression as well. And this is Apple enrollment program token. So this one has the expression as well. So now we have a token. So let's get back to the slide where we discussed. So maximum enrollment per profiles, enrollment profiles per token, 1,000, right? Since we have a token, right? Now we can have how many profiles under the umbrella of one token? 1,000 profile. So this is, I wanted to show you. You get to know better when you actually gone through the setup. So now we've gone through the setup, right? We have the active token here. And when you click on the active token under Microsoft Intune iOS section, this is what you call profile. So you can have up to 1,000 profiles here. There are two categories for each profile, the iOS, iPadOS, and macOS. So let's say iOS profile test. By the way, before I get into the profile, let's continue with the profile. I'll show you the devices as well. So let's say like a test, iOS profile 01. When you hit next, so it does offer you two types of enrollment. The one is enroll with user affinity and enroll without user affinity. So user affinity is the one basically that's a dedicated devices, and without user affinity are basically like shared devices. So you can supervise them and or not, or do not supervise. It's optional. But with the user affinity, it is always a supervised device. And under the user affinity, you have basically, I don't recommend this one, Setup Assistant Legacy. I only recommend Intune Company Portal or Setup Assistance with Modern Authentication. These two, and Company Portal one is the most common one I have seen so far. So you can set up these profile. So basically, if you are familiar with Windows Autopilot, right? This is exact same place, right? Where basically it's a Windows Auto, it's like an iOS Autopilot profile for Apple devices. So it's a similar concept. So basically you are tidying things up here and creating a profile. As soon as the device fires up, it will follow these settings. So now let me take you back to the Apple Business Manager portal. Let's get back to the devices. So since I have added one device here, once you have all the devices added to the Apple Business Manager, you basically those are unassigned devices. So you click on, since you have added the Intune MDM server, so you can assign the Intune MDM. So I have like the one which is already assigned, which is called Microsoft Intune, and I just created which is called Intune, Microsoft Intune MDM. It's kind of similar name but with the word MDM. So I can assign this one as well. I don't have to assign this one because because I do not have a corresponding Apple token, an EPT, enrollment profile token set up for this profile. It's not gonna do anything good for me, so I'm gonna stick to what I have. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and delete the MDM which I created for the demo purposes, just to keep things clean here. Okay, so this one, right? So I'll go ahead and delete this one. And if you look at my other profile, Microsoft Intune, which is active one, it has one device associated with this. So once the handshake is completed and the Apple enrollment program token in Intune is showing you active and green, then you can actually sync sync the profile. So basically when you click on the profile here, not the profile, the token itself, one second here, where did it go? So this is my enrollment profile tokens. So my device is already showing up, yes. So perfect, so let me show you. This is my main page. So I'm too fast. So enrollment program tokens, that's my active token showing up after the proper handshake with ABM. And then when you go in the devices, when you hit sync, it will retrieve all the devices from the ABM. So let's say if I added a device, the new device in ABM, it will just show up here. And you can in fact delete it or retrieve it. So all of these devices are coming from the ABM. They are not directly imported or enrolled in Intune. Okay. So this is the place you will see all the ABM devices. Profiles. So you can have multiple profiles. I only have the enroll with user affinity at the moment with the company portal, but I am planning to make more videos on just the enrollment types for all three platforms, Apple, Android, and Windows. In Apple enrollment profile video, I'm gonna go over details into each of the methods Apple Intune offers for Apple devices. So that's pretty much it. I'm hopeful that this video is helpful for you guys, because Apple ABM was one of those topics that I had a hard time catching up on, and plus it was challenging for me to sign up with the Apple Business Manager. If you have any feedbacks, comments, please feel free to post in my YouTube channel and I will be happy to answer. Thanks.